Ladies and gents, welcome to the third video in week 2 of Take Charge. And we're going to talk about growth strategy. And I really like this video. I think you're going to love it as well because it gives a lot of clarity to running your business. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is terminology. What is growth strategy? And we're going to talk about KPIs and the most important growth KPIs that you want to focus on. We're going to talk about bottlenecks and rise scoring, which will be your path to success. We're going to also cover your growth protocol, creating clarity and confidence in strategy. And you might have seen the next video in this training, which is called Growth Protocol, where we're going to go more in depth on that. But first, let's talk about growth strategy. So make sure you're signed up to the newsletter for important updates. Make sure to subscribe and follow on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where I'm active. And you'll get exclusive content there as well. Some of it that I'm not sharing here in this course. Pro tip, watch at 2x speed. And let's dive into it. What is growth strategy? So growth strategy is very simply put, within the context of this training, it's ongoing structured problem solving. Okay. And really it comes down to prioritize and execute. Identify the problems, fix them, get feedback, and find the next bottleneck in your business. And you want to continually be in the present, continually solve the next bottleneck, improve and move on to the next one. But you also want to anticipate. And growth strategy does not mean waiting for problems to come your way. It's also about anticipating problems before they are real and solving them, which essentially lead you to achieving your target while dealing with less obstacles. Okay. However, most of the time I see founders worry about future problems that are not in the present yet. And what they gotta do is figuring out the main pressing point. What they do, they're trying to solve the incorrect pressing point or wrongly identifying bottlenecks because one does not want to face with the facts. So don't let anticipation become an excuse for not working on the most important problem. Okay, just to give a little bit more clarity on this, focus on the most pressing bottleneck. Oftentimes this is the thing that you know you got to do, but you have been putting it off for a long time. Two very good examples of this is getting a new website. So a lot of founders are still on a free Shopify theme and they think they can get away with it, but you really aren't. And in their mind, it's a lot of work to launch a website, while in fact you can get it done in 2 days, get it live, and then keep working on it over a span of the next 2-3 months, making improvements and A/B test. That is one thing where people are not doing the work and trying to figure out, solve other problems, inventory problems, coming up with new product launches while they still have a ton of inventory that is not being sold. Another example is a photo shoot. So I see a lot of brands trying to sell high ticket products in the range of $100 to $500 with very low quality product images and videos. Like we went over in the last training, creators first approach. This is one of the most important things, but this is also the number one thing that I see a lot of founders are not executing on. They're just putting it off and keep putting it off while they know, okay, I should just find a photographer, get a studio and make sure we update those images because that is going to impact a lot of things in the business. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, focus on the most important things and the main pressing bottlenecks while also anticipating what is going to happen in the future, but not get distracted and be with your mind in what's going to happen 6 months from now all the time and then neglecting what is happening right now in front of you. Okay, a good analogy is if you're driving a car in the dark, the light of your car will only shine for the next 20 meters. And that is good enough because you can make your decisions on where to go based on those next 20 meters of light. You don't need the light for the entire road laid out in front of you because that's not where you're driving yet, okay? So just focus on the things that are pressing right now. So let's get a bird's eye view over the growth protocol, okay? So for most brands, we can go very tactical and in-depth on things, but I just want to give a very simple image. And that is what I got right here. So for most brands, it's going to be like this. You have your Instagram, your Twitter, your TikTok, your Meta. And this is usually where most people are getting their traffic from. This can also be other sources. Okay, this could be influencers, PR, Google SEO, whatever. And that will generate traffic, okay? Then you have traffic. That traffic will land on your website. And then on the website, they will convert to become a customer. And if they're a customer, then there's some kind of retention in place to keep them coming back. So that could be email marketing, SMS marketing, retargeting, or they naturally just come back for more, or you have something inside the product. So for example, subscription model, or they need restockings, or you give them a discount inside their order, for example, to keep them coming back for more. So you have your traffic mechanism, your website mechanism, and then your retention mechanism. And those are the three main things that we're thinking about when we're talking about growth, okay? Now, if we go a little bit more in depth, and this is when it comes to scaling a direct-to-consumer brand, it's gonna be a little bit like this. So what I try to do here is show you those three compartments, like we just showed, traffic, website, and retention, and then bring them down to their most detailed KPIs. So you can think more clearly through, okay, what is the thing that I need to be solving right now to grow the business further, okay? You can work a lot on your website, but if there's nobody coming to your website, yeah, you're doing a lot of work for nothing. You can also work a lot of your retargeting ads or spend a lot of money on retargeting while you barely have any traffic or barely have any customers, okay? So this is how you want to look at things. So what we have here is first it shows organic. You have your organic. I'm not going to focus on that right now because it's too technical to explore that area. What is most practical to look at right now is your paid traffic, okay? So we have paid traffic, and inside paid traffic, we have cost per outbound click. That is CPOC that you see right there. And the CPOC, you want to drive that as low as possible because that is generally your cost of the traffic. How much do you pay to get somebody to land on your website? Cost per outbound click inside the paid traffic medias. Okay, cost per outbound click is calculated through CPM. What is the cost of getting 1,000 impressions on this ad platform? And click-through rate. What is the percentage of people that click on my ad from those that got an impression to click on the ad, okay? So if you see that your cost per outbound click, if you see that your ads are not profitable, probably you see a very low ROAS. But if you have a closer look, what you'll see is that you have a very expensive cost per outbound click. And then you see, okay, why is the cost per outbound click so high? Do I have an extremely high CPM? Is the CPM like $100? Am I paying like $100 for only 1,000 impressions, which is extremely high, but sometimes this happens. No, that's not the case. Okay, let's look at the click-through rate. Oh, the click-through rate is 0.5%. That is extremely low. Let's focus on the click-through rate. And then you're going to brainstorm, come up with some ideas for a click-through rate, okay? So that is traffic. If we then look at the website, we're gonna look at one metric, which is the most important one, which is revenue per user, RPU, or RPS, revenue per session. Okay, depends on how you want to measure it. So revenue per user is any unique website visitor to your website, how much revenue does that person bring in on average? Okay, so you calculate that by taking your revenue and divide it by the amount of unique website visitors, users. So that is the RPU. Now, I work with brands and they're super profitable and they have a $10 RPU. So for every website visitor, they extract $10. What is average in the industry is at around $1.8. But right now, if you're starting and you have a $1.8 RPU, you're most likely going to be unprofitable. And I always say aim for 2.5. That is currently the average of my clients. And 2.5 in most cases shows that, okay, people want your product and your website is working, it's converting, and you have a product that is at a high enough average order value. Okay, the reason that we use RPU is that it's kind of like a combination of average order value, retention rate, and conversion rate. So when people talk about conversion rate, I can have a store that has a 10% conversion rate. So 1 out of 10 people, out of 100, 10 people buy. Out of 100 website visitors, 10 people buy. Now, 10% is really high, but if my product is only $5, then it's quite obvious that I'm going to have a super high conversion rate, and it's pretty useless because I can have another brand that has a 0.5% conversion rate, so not even 1%, and it can be way more profitable because their average order value is $500. Okay, so that's why we measure revenue per user, because it combines retention, average order value, and conversion rate together. But if your revenue per user is very low, so it's below 2.5, I would say that is the number one thing that you want to fix. And if you want to fix that, you're going to look at the numbers. So what is the next KPI there? It's conversion rate optimization. Sorry, it's conversion rate. So is the conversion rate super low? Is it like below 1%? Okay, if it's below 1%, we probably need to increase that depending on your average order value. And you can benchmark these. You can get average numbers on Google, and I'll show you later in this program how to benchmark, how to get those averages. You can also ask people in your industry, or you can ask inside the school community, hey, are these numbers okay? But it's going to be different for every brand, obviously. This is just averages that I'm talking. So is the conversion rate okay? Yes, conversion rate is okay. Average order value, okay, it's at $200. Lifetime value, well, it's also at $200. Maybe we need to fix the retention. So maybe people need to come back more often. But let's say everything looks up to par. Maybe you're not maximizing your profits because you don't do any email marketing, or you have a very low sign-up rate for your email pop-up where you're collecting email addresses and SMS, because that is going to be a part of your revenue per user. If you're not extracting emails and phone numbers from your website visitors, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and that will lower your revenue per user as well. The thing is with going over this whole growth protocol, all the metrics, they are kind of full funnel, and they influence almost one another. Every KPI influences another KPI in this process. But that is also why it's so important to really have your feet on the ground, but also have like a clear look at the numbers and the KPIs and split them up. Okay, so if the conversion rate, for example, is super low, maybe it's not something in the website. Maybe it's because the ads are showing something completely wrong and people are misleaded. Okay, that could be an example how different metrics are combined together. Okay, so we have sign-up rate and then RPR, which is revenue per recipient, which is a metric for how much revenue are you extracting from your emails. Now, if you're using Klaviyo will tell you if you're within KPI or not. If it says good, I would because Klaviyo will tell you, okay, you have like 50 cents revenue per recipient, kind of like revenue per email address or phone number. That is good. But if you're good, you're probably bad, because you're here to be an excellent brand and you want to be excellent. And you're only going to be able to compete if you're scoring excellent on all these metrics, okay? You should not try to be average here, because then you're going to lose your business. So Klaviyo will tell you for your business at your average order value, what is within KPI. So that is everything that influences website. First, you look at revenue per user, then at your conversion rate, then at your average order value, then at your lifetime value. Then you check out sign-up rate and revenue per recipient. I'm going to give you an example later in this video where you understand a little bit more in depth on how to go about it. But just to say, if your sign-up rate is at 1%, so out of 100 people that get this pop-up of enter your email and become part of the club or whatever, if only 1% opts in, if you can increase that to 20%, which many of the brands that work with do, then suddenly you're extracting a ton more emails, which allows you to do a lot more email marketing. And if your revenue per recipient is on par, then you're going to be making a lot more money just by changing the sign-up rate, okay? Or just by changing phone numbers to your opt-in if you're just collecting emails now. So that's an example. And then the third step is retention. So here we have email, SMS, and retargeting. I think those are the three core things that we're going to look at. Email, what is your open rate? So out of the people that we sent an email to, how many people did it open? What is the click rate? Is the click rate good? Is it healthy? Are people reading the email and then clicking it? And then what is the conversion rate? So from click to purchase. So how many people actually bought a product after they opened and clicked on the email? Exact same thing goes for SMS. And then with retargeting, obviously, we're often going to be looking at advertising. So it's going to be click-through rate, CPM, and frequency. So frequency is how many times somebody has seen an ad from you in the past time frame. So that could be a month, a week, or whatever. So if people are seeing like 10 ads on average in the time frame of 4 weeks, that is a super high frequency and you're retargeting way too much. But if the frequency is only 1, so they're only seeing 1 advertisement on average per month, that is super low. So then you can probably say, okay, let's spend a little bit more on retargeting. Okay, this is just to give you a little bit of a primer. This may be a little bit confusing right now, but after going through this video and watching the entirety of the next video after this, you're going to get a lot more clarity on the growth protocol and what steps to take in order to grow your business and what to focus on most right now. And obviously you can always reach out in the school community and say, hey, I got these numbers, what should I focus on? Okay, I just want to give you a primer here to give a little bit of a bird's eye level view on how we're looking at a business as we're scaling it. Now, most important growth KPIs. I already mentioned a bunch of those, so I'm gonna run through it quickly. So we have cost per outbound click, basically the cost of traffic, usually in advertising, but can also be measured in organic. So how much are you spending as a business on everything, and how much organic traffic are you getting? And then you can divide those metrics and you get a cost per outbound click for your organic. RPU is revenue per user. So take your revenue of a period divided by the amount of unique website visitors and you get your RPU. As I said, you want to aim for $2.5. I would pause the video, log into your Shopify and measure your revenue per user. Or if you have Triple Wheel will give you revenue per session right away from your dashboard, so you can see it right there. You can see if you're up to par. If your revenue per user is below 2.5, you know you probably have to do some work on your website. Okay, or it might mean that your product is very shit and nobody wants to buy it, and then you got some valuable information as well that you might need to pivot a little bit. RTR, return customer rate, I think you're familiar with that. And then NCCPA, which is new customer cost per acquisition, okay? A lot of people are looking just at cost per acquisition, but that includes returning customers. And a returning customer you should almost get for free. You should not be paying the same price for a returning customer order than you pay for somebody who made their first purchase with you. Usually your first purchase, to get somebody to purchase for the first time with you, it's gonna be a lot more expensive. It's gonna be, let's say, $100. And then maybe you spend $10 on average on retargeting to get that customer to come back, and it's only $10 to get them to come back. That's why we want to split those two and say, okay, we're going to focus on getting new customers. It's great having returning customers. It's great, but it's not a compounding metric. NCCPA is a compounding metric because every time you get a new customer in the door, that person is likely to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the future. And that is actually going to bring in profit. If we're going to be paying $100 every time for any purchase, including like retargeting, or for that person to come back to us, which a lot of brands make this mistake. They spend a lot of money on retargeting and they're just paying like $100 for an existing customer to come back and make a purchase. And that is really bankrupting a business or just wasting money. So that's why we're looking at new customer cost per acquisition. Okay. So the main thing here is growth is simple if you have clarity. And it really comes down to knowing the problems and solving them in priority. Okay. In a second, you'll have a little bit more clarity on this, but just accept this. Building like an authority brand and getting to 1 million a year or 5 or 10 million a year, it's not some woo-woo crazy strategy. It's just figuring out, okay, what's the most pressing problem right now? And then we solve that. Then we move on to the next problem and then we solve that. And if you keep doing that and you prioritize the most important problems to solve, then eventually you're going to grow that business to 7 or 8 figures. Okay. And that is all that growth strategy is. We don't have to complicate it any further. So getting clarity. Okay. You might have been a little bit confused so far, or this is all very easy to you. But now I want to talk about, okay, how do we get all of the ideas that you have in your mind and get a lot of clarity on what to work on, okay? So working hard is great, but what is more important is that you work on the right thing. Identify what is the most pressing bottleneck in your business and then working on that, okay? And you always want to hypothesize and create your thesis, for example, new website theme or improving my current website is going to bring an increased conversion rate. I keep making this mistake, 0 instead of just CR, but increased conversion rate. Make sure to record your thesis, make a plan, follow the steps, and then set a reminder to review and get feedback. Okay? And then you have feedback. It's essential that you record and intercept the process with a feedback loop. Otherwise, you never learn and you keep drifting around in chaos. I only figured this out this year, and I talk about this a lot, but it's called feedback loops. And you really don't learn if you don't intercept a feedback loop into your actions to actually see, okay, did this work? Yes, no? Okay, course correct for the next time. We're going to take step A instead of B. I was playing, last year I did over 1,000 chess games online. And I didn't move up in terms of points because with chess you get ELO, you get an ELO score and you can basically see how good you are. And I didn't improve any. And I recently I spoke with a friend of mine who's really good at chess, and he said, "Well, did you analyze your games?" And I said, "No, I just thought if I play a lot of games, I'll naturally get a lot better." He said, "Of course you don't get better. If you don't intercept with a feedback loop, you'll never learn from your mistakes." And then I was like, wow. And that really hit for me. And then I was like, this is also so true in business. That's why I'm a big fan of journaling, but also mapping out your projects, writing down your intentions, and then hypothesizing about, okay, what is the impact that this is going to create? And then 1 month later, you should go back, look at your plans and see, okay, did we execute on the plan? Did we execute correctly on the plan? And did we get the result? And this is how you really learn what is working, what is not working. Because what most entrepreneurs, really what 99% of entrepreneurs are doing, they just get a ton of ideas. They have shiny object syndrome. They go from this to that, and then they never learn and they never improve because they just keep changing stuff and they never keep doing what works. That is as simple as it is. You identify the problems, you solve the problems, and you do more of the stuff that works. And if you do that, you're going to reach your goals. Okay, so the process is thesis, plan, action, review, feedback, next item. Okay, now let's talk about bottlenecks. So here's an amazing drawing that I made. And I hope this is going to drive the point home. But let me just use my mouse to show it to you as well. So we have, let's see if we can make this bigger. So we have traffic, okay? We're getting a lot of traffic. So let's imagine this is a pipe and we're flowing water through it, okay? And this is just an imaginary vision of your business. So this pipe allows for a lot of water because a lot of water can flow through this pipe. And this is your traffic. So you're getting a ton of traffic here. But your email sign-up rate, it's only 3%. So very little water flows through here. Then your email marketing, we have all these flows built out, everything is automated, and you have a very good revenue per recipient. So this is a lot of water can flow through here, but it's really bottlenecked by the amount of people that actually get those emails because nobody signs up. So the first bottleneck here is your email sign-up rate. And then your website is converting at only 0.3%, so 1/3 of 1%. So out of 300 people, only one person buys. And this is very low because we have a ton of inventory and we should really increase this because then a lot more water can flow through, okay? So this is how we look at bottlenecks. This is how I learned it in business school for the 1 year that I was in university studying business. So looking at this, obviously the main thing, you're not gonna try to optimize Facebook ads, okay? If this is the case, you're not gonna try to spend more on Facebook ads. It's super obvious if you draw it out like this that generating more traffic here, it's not gonna change anything to the business because email sign-up rate is super low, website is super low, okay? And even if we fix those two things, what we need to be working on next will be improving the email marketing even further on the same level of traffic. If we do that, we're going to make a lot more money, a lot more water can flow through. And once we've done that, then we can focus on improving the traffic again. Or you might see, well, we cannot scale any further because we don't have that level of inventory or customer support or fulfillment or whatever. So we need to fix this. But in this example, you see this is the bottleneck. This is the second bottleneck that we need to focus on. Website is probably most important because it affects more people. It affects every website visitor. And it also brings in a direct result, and that is money. But email sign-up rate is probably the easiest and is also going to give us a very ROI here because we only need to change the messaging and the design of a pop-up or install a pop-up if we don't have them or add phone numbers to the pop-up and get it from 1% to 20%, for example. And then we're already going to get a lot more flow through. Okay, so that is flow through and bottlenecks, and don't worry about ICS. We're going to be talking about RISE instead, but for now, bottlenecks. So you always want to put your time and effort into solving problems that cause the biggest bottleneck, and hence you have the highest impact on your growth. So for example, focusing on tweaking meta ads and targeting or learning TikTok ads while you barely have any creatives is not a good idea. Instead, focusing on creating content will impact many aspects of your business, and it's also going to improve those ads. Okay. High leverage and low cost. So look for opportunities where you can have big results with the minimum cost in time and resources. A good example is website conversion rate optimization. Knocking these out first will get you in a better spot faster. So I just gave you the example as well of doing a new pop-up. Super easy to install amped.io, get one of their proven templates. And by the way, amped.io is a pop-up software. Install that, execute that, maybe takes you 2-3 hours to finish, and then you have a lot of impact, so very low cost. Next, look at your business from a standpoint of water pipe flowing water. Figure out where the bottleneck is. When you resolve the bottleneck, more water will flow through, and you have more throughput throughout the entire business. Naturally, your next bottleneck will become apparent. Okay, that's the other thing. If we think about that picture that I just showed you, once you solve those bottlenecks and the water flows through again, becomes very apparent where's the next bottleneck. And that is how you want to move through your business. Okay. Now that is the main thing that you should have learned from this training. If you just remember that, you're good to go. Now, here's a tool for you that you may or may not be familiar with, but I'm going to make it very easy for you to use it. And that is RISE scoring. Okay. And this is basically how to determine what to work on. Okay. RISE stands for reach, impact, confidence, and effort. Okay. So reach is how many people will this project impact. Impact is how much of an impact is it going to make. So basically, what result are we getting? Is it going to get a massive result or not? And then confidence, how confident are you in this project creating the desired result? And an effort, how much effort in time or in resources is this project going to require? So with the pop-up example, very low effort. If you use Amped, which I highly recommend, that software is, depending on how big your business is, but it starts at $100 a month. For most brands, it will be $100 a month. And that is over a year at a time, $1,200. That is quite some money. So the effort is not one, but it's probably going to be 3 or 4. Okay, so let's do one together. So I actually have a tool that I'll link below in the resources. And that is this one right here. So let me do this. So this is the RISE scoring tool. These are automatically updated. And what you're going to get is your RISE score. And this is going to be the score that you want to focus on. So let's say we use the examples that we just talked before earlier. And that is new sign up form Amped. Okay, that is the first project. I recommend not touching the reach. RISE scoring tool is often being used in product engineering and product design. And the question with reach, you always ask how many customers is this iteration of the product going to affect. We're using this mostly for marketing and sales and maybe operations. So we can really complicate it if we're going to be using reach, because if you compare the reach of a post-purchase thing compared to a pre-purchase thing where every website visitor is the reach is going to make it very complicated. So for that reason, I'd say just use 1,000 for every single number here. Just use 1,000, and maybe you can make a second sheet here, so duplicate it, and then tackle a different department of your business with a different scoring sheet where you change the number. Okay, so for now we're using 1,000, so it's gonna always reach 1,000. What is the impact of this going to be? By the way, I have notes here, so massive impact is going to be 3. I think this is going to be massive impact because we can, right now, let's say it's 1%, we can increase it to 20%. What's the confidence we're going to reach that? Well, I would say 70% that we're going to reach this impact, but 100% that we're going to get an improvement. and a rise, and then what's the effort? I would say the effort on a scale from 1 to 10 would probably be 2. Okay, so we have a score of 1000. Now let's say a new Shopify theme. So we're using a free theme, we want to get a paid theme. How much is, what is the rise score here? Impact, well, I think impact it's 2. It's gonna give me a big impact, but just installing the Shopify theme alone is probably not gonna enough to make a massive impact on the conversion rate and average order value. I gotta say though, as a side note, many of the brands that I work with install the new Shopify theme. I often recommend Broadcast, but there will be another module on this as well. And they doubled their revenue and 4x their profit just by changing Shopify theme. So this can be a massive impact thing. I just want to have mentioned that. Confidence, let's say 80%, but effort, let's say we have 500 products in our Shopify store. We have a lot of content that we want to integrate. We have a lot of custom pages that we want to do. So it's probably going to take us a lot of effort to figure out. Also, I've never built a Shopify theme before, so there's a little bit of a learning curve there. So I would say 9. And then we come out with 177. I think 9 would be a little bit too crazy. Let's say 5, because it's not that crazy to build a new Shopify theme. We're not even doing any custom stuff. Okay, we come out for 320. And etc. etc. This is how you can map out your tasks and figure out what is most important to work on. So if I had to choose for your business right now, if you have a low conversion rate and a low sign-up rate, go for Amped right away. The rise score is showing you that, but also if you think about it, it's just 3-4 hours of work and you get a massive increase in your business. Whereas with the Shopify, it's going to take you, like for me, it takes me 1 day to build a Shopify theme, and we can make it as complicated and as custom as possible. I still get it done in 1 day. But for most businesses, I know it's going to take 2-3 weeks to get time. Mostly this is because they're stressing and they're thinking and they're not sure and they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves, which is completely unnecessary. But that is just how it is. So I'm going to be realistic. It's going to take you 2-3 weeks to get the website up. So that is why you should go for Amped first right away. And this is how you can score what you want to work on first. Obviously, take in mind the bottlenecks in your business as well. Let's get back to the training. Oh, this is the wrong one. There. Oh. So back to the training. Bottlenecks, I think we just went through that. Rise scoring as well. Okay, getting more clarity. So you can do this exercise, prioritize and execute with the rise scoring tool. Or alternatively, and this is what I would recommend, is combine that with a project management tool. So I'm going to show you how that works. So list out your projects in your rise scoring sheet and then prioritize. So use the rise scoring tool to prioritize what you should get, what you should work on, and based on your most pressing bottlenecks. Next, take those high priority tasks, bring them into your project management tool and map out the subtasks, write down some info, add some bullets, add the rise scoring. So what is the rise score on this project and a general thesis. Also add a deadline and a reminder for when the deadline is being reached, but also when you should review the results of installing this new thing. Okay, and you can do that in any project management tool like Asana, ClickUp, Airtable, Monday. I'm using Asana for my business. I often recommend ClickUp because it's very intuitive, but that is totally up to you. You can also do it in your Google Sheets, whatever works best for you. And the other thing is that then you want to eliminate, automate, and delegate. So once you've created all those subtasks within the task. You want to heavily start eliminating things that you think, okay, that is not super necessary right now. So if you create a website, you probably have like 50 subtasks of what should be in the website right now. So for example, getting the custom pages in the new Shopify theme, that might not be really important. The most important thing is that you can sell products with your new Shopify theme and it looks better. What is not important is all the about pages and the privacy policies and all those extra things. You can add them in later, but just archive them from now. So heavily eliminate, only keep what is most important. And then you want to delegate the tasks by tagging yourself and your team. So if you have any team members that need to work on stuff, you can tag them inside your product management tool. But if you're going to work on stuff yourself, you want to tag yourself and set deadlines for each subtask as well. So you're being held accountable. You want to delegate stuff to yourself as well, ideally at the least as possible, but that's how you do it. And then do it. Simply mapping this out and getting it into a board gives you massive clarity, okay? So you might think, yeah, Thijs, I understand this stuff. I map it out, I delegate and blah, blah, blah. But you'll be surprised with how much better you feel with getting just all of your ideas down on paper. And actually, I recommend an exercise where you forget about the RISE scoring. Maybe you do it as well, but just get all of the ideas that are in your mind and put them into that sheet. Maybe then start scoring them and then start eliminating, delegating things from the list. And maybe you can automate a couple of things as well. Okay, so get them just on paper and you'll feel a lot better. You have a lot more clarity because then you see, okay, this is everything I need to do. It's now in one list. I can now look at it. My problems don't seem that big anymore. It's just a to-do list now and I can start working on it. And I don't have to work on everything at the same time. I just focus on the most important thing right now and that's it. And once you understand that, you have a lot more clarity and you feel much better and it's a lot easier to work on, because I personally know as well, if you have a ton of things in your mind, it's really hard to just even do the simple things. So instead of working on the simple things, you start working on stuff that is completely not important to your business at all. And basically you enter procrastination. So that is why you want to do this exercise. And also 1 or 2 weeks later, you can then see the progress, analyze the results and get feedback. And this way you see and you feel the process, okay? If you constantly work on a lot of stuff, but it's not documented, you constantly feel you're like running on a treadmill or on like this hamster wheel of work and you don't see anything that happened. If you have it all in a project management tool or in a Google Sheet or somewhere digital, then a couple of weeks later you can look back at it and see, oh, done that. We didn't have to do that. We eliminated that. Johnny took care of that. Tommy took care of that. Wow, we actually have moved a lot of work in the past 3 months. That is awesome. Let's keep going. And maybe you see, oh, this did not impact the business, or this did really impact the business. So that is why you want to do this exercise. So here's an action item. Watch the next video, Growth Protocol. And the other action item is, after watching it, use your RISE scoring sheet and a project management tool to do the exercise we just went over, okay? The reason why I want to make sure that you watch a Growth Protocol video after this is because you're probably gonna get a lot more clarity on how to score what is important in your business, okay? Little summary, growth strategy is, simply put, ongoing structured problem solving. Working on the right thing is more important than working hard. Identify, prioritize, and execute. That's actually a quote from Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership. It's a book I highly recommend. And then thesis, plan, action, review, feedback next. And use some form of project management tool for recording, managing, tracking, and delegating your projects. And obviously, we have your RISE scoring tool as well. That is linked below this video. So thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. And that is the quote that we're finishing with today. And I'll see you in the next video. So let's get to work.